Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, also known as Pajama Grandma. I have a question for you today. Is your business Fiddle? Fiddle, of course, means in good shape, in good health, suitable for the use, fit for use, in fine shape. Now, how do you know if your business is in fine shape? It is defined by us. We can define it anyway. We might compare ourselves to other businesses and say, oh, we're doing really good. We're number one on this chart. We're in the top 500 of this Forbes list or whatever. We're a Fortune 500 company, whatever. But just because you're on somebody else's list doesn't mean your organization is fit as a fiddle. So here's the key, the trick, the strategy I use for assessing the health of my organization. I actually do this for myself as well. Didn't always, wish I would have saved me some heartache and some health challenges, but now I do. And what I do, and what I challenge most of my clients to do as well, is take a snapshot right now and analyze 7 different areas of your business. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate overall where your business is? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationships, financially, and with respect to contribution. What value are you adding to the world or to things outside of you? That's how I define contribution. Relationships, all your different relationships. Vendors, suppliers, teammates, partners, competitors. What's your relationship with your competitors? And overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate each of these areas. Why do we want to do this? And why do we want to focus on right now? I can hear people saying, oh, it's always changing. It's never the same. Of course it's not. That's why you take a snapshot. That's why we take, our think of financial records and financial reporting. It's always just a snapshot, or it's a lot of times looking at the past. By the time, I remember in corporate America, we would see the numbers, but we didn't see them, and I suppose technology's changed, so it's a lot faster now, but we didn't see the numbers in the reporting except for like once a month. Now, it's hard to make decisions based on information that you're given only once a month, and it's usually halfway through the next month before you see last month's numbers and figures. It makes the time to react and the time to respond really long. The bigger a company gets, the more that tends to be the way it is. Things get complicated, way more complicated than they need to be, by the way, and it causes struggles, and it just takes longer to do things in bigger organizations. It doesn't have to be that way, but my experience has been that it just is. So today, I actually challenge you to look at your organization and it doesn't take that long, because what's my feeling of what my number is right now? Physically, do we have all the resources, the building, the facilities, the access to materials, the access to human resources and capability that we need right now on a scale of 1 to 10? Physically, if I'm looking at my business right now, I didn't do this, but I'm gonna say I would be probably at like a 5 or a 4, because I'm in need of certain resources to make my business go to the next level that I want it to go to. And when you're in a transition period, you tend to be lower in some of these areas than in others. Relationships are the foundation of everything, right? Everything is relationships in business and in our lives, right? It's our relationship to ourself first and to a higher power, whatever that is for you, taps into the spiritual number. It's our relationship to our customers, to vendors, to everybody. We need to remember, and it's an overall number of your relationships. How are you handling your relationships? And, what would that be for you right now? Not in the future, not in the past. What is it today, right now? Same thing with each of these categories. Mentally and emotionally and spiritually, you might say, well, how do I put a number to those? How do I know what that is for my organization? And I say, you know what that is for your organization. If you built the business, even if you're working in somebody else's business, in a different business, you can come up with these numbers really easily, because it's how do you feel? It's a subjective thing, but you're trying to put objective numbers to a subjective intuitive feeling of something. And that's really, really powerful, right? I'm a numbers person. I'm an engineer by training and a very nerdy manager and numbers gal by everything, because I know that what I look at and what I measure matters. And when I'm measuring things, and subjective things are the hardest things to measure, right? The things that are based on our opinions and feelings and other people's opinions and feelings are the hardest things to measure. So if I can give it a number and I can look at the direction that it's moving over time, theoretically I might say, hey, I want to be a 10 in all these areas. But is that true? Do I physically, for my business, want to have a 10 type, it depends how you define physical. To me, physical is energy, and do I have the energy that I need and the fitness for use to create the business that I want? And if that matches, that's closer to a 10. But do I really want to be a 10 physically? Do I want to have top of the line, state of the art technology and facilities with respect to everything in my business? Probably not. I probably don't want to, which is really interesting because that's the way I feel about my health and my life. When I think about physical, I think a 10 is like a professional athlete, somebody that trains and works on their body or really spends a lot of time physically being at their absolute peak performance. Awesome for them, but the amount of energy, the amount of resources I would have to expend to have that level of health isn't a high enough priority to me personally that I want to ever be a 10, even a 9. I mean, the energy I need to create the business that I want personally, it's probably about a 7 or an 8. I don't need to be a 10, and I don't want to devote the time and energy to create that area of my business or my life as a 10. So whatever your goal is, that's up to you. But where are you right now? Take that snapshot, take that assessment, and just see. And if you're like me, you'll graph the average and you'll graph each individual ones and you'll look at it over time and see how you're moving. And as long as you're moving toward what you want, that's a good thing. It helps you make decisions. If you're moving away from what you want, that's an indicator that you need to make and put more energy into that actual area or aspect of your business. I will contend that probably the vast majority of the people have never looked at their business this way. We look at the financials, we look at the physical things, and that's about it. And it's when we ignore the other areas, the other aspects, the culture, the environment, the relationships in our business that we tend to struggle. And if you do this, this is guaranteed to help you supersize and grow your business. If I can help you with this in any way, hit me up. Otherwise, go out and have a fit as a fiddle day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? This one actually is from the 16th century. Go figure, 16th century. And fit has always meant fitness for use or in good health. Fiddle, on the other hand, they're not quite sure how that got in, except for it's an alliteration, and people like things that start with the same letter or have the same repetitive letter or sound to them. All right, have a great day. Be fit as a fiddle, and I'll be with you tomorrow. Bye.